It is about the drug consumption risk and built a dashboard around that. So initially, I'll just give an abstract about the problem. So according to the World Drug Report, like there are almost like 275 million people who have used drugs at least once in the year 2016. And out of them, around 31 million people are already suffering from the drug abuse and are in like real need of medical treatment. So what I wanted to do over here is like since this is like major problem across the world, so this dashboard generally tries to look like find the traits of the people who consume like similar type of drugs and also like maybe find some cluster of drugs based on the user personality traits so that we can at least categorize the drugs usage. So as I was talking about the personality traits, let me just give an overview of the data, what I'm working upon. So I've taken a data like it's from the UCI repository. So it consists of like around like 1800 columns, sorry, 1800 data points where each data point is like a survey taken from a user and the user like from different parts of the world too. So this 18 like each user is surveyed about like the information about his background information like his age, ethnicity or like what degree he has in education, and along with that, he also been asked about the drugs consumption details. Like there are like around 19 drugs in my data, and each user is asked like how recently they have consumed each drug. And this thing has varies from like six. There are like around six ranges in this. So if we will call them like CL0 to CL6, where CL0 is something like they have never tried that, and CL6 is like something which they have consumed if they have consumed the drug like in pretty recently, like yesterday or day before. So the other ranges are like goes on like a week before, a month before, a year before, like 10 years before. So that this is the details about the drugs. And coming to the personality traits, they're like we have used like a big five factor model. So what's the big five factor model? It's like there's like five aspects over here. It's like called the neuroticism, openness, extraversion, the consciousness, and agreeableness. These are like some minimum score. Like this is the scores what generally few servers calculate based on the user's responses to some specified questions. So based on those responses, they calculate some scores for these five aspects. So what the main agenda behind this course is like using this course, we can basically depict like what are the thoughts or feelings or behaviors of the users. So let me just give a quick overview of what each aspect here clearly mentions. So if you see like a person with a high consciousness score is like a person with is more goal driven, whereas the person with high A score or the agreeableness score are like the person who like really ready to help out. Like they always try to find something good in everything. And the people with high N score or the neuroticism score, like the people who are like more depressed or more like stressed out. People with the more high O score are the ones who like trying to be more creative, like who want to try or explore new things. The person with the high E score are the ones who are like generally makes friends so easily. They were like more motivated and all. So this is like the basic overview of the whole project over now. So let me just show you a overview of the dashboard now. So this is the dashboard which I worked upon, and if you can see there like multiple plots over here. So this is the world map like which I built. So each one is shows like how many users are there from each specified country. Like as I mentioned, the users are like from around like 6 to 7 countries right now. And if you like increase that, this is a live tracking thing, so the number of points will be updated enough. And on top of here, this is a PCP plot. It contains all the information, all the ordinal variables specified. And because the numerical variables already have a scatter plot matrix for that, so I didn't include them as part over here since there's already a lot of categories over here. And if you see the values change for each drug, the values change vary from 0 to 6, where 6 is the most they have consumed if they are pretty recently, and 0 is something like which they never tried it out. And this is MDS plot. For this, I've used ordinal encoding for all the ordinal variables because if you see there are a lot of them. And along with that, I use the scores also. So using the ordinal encoding, like I've given like some meaningful values for each category ordinal variable so that they can be used as part of the correlation matrix. So this is totally built on the correlation between each feature over here. And this is like a bar and histogram plot. So basically it shows like if it's a categorical variable, it just give a bar chart and it's just like there to quantify you the number of data points specified in each section. And if you see over here, this is scatter plot matrix. The main agenda over here is like the scores on the x-axis, and on the y-axis, I've given you a drop down. So if you can select like a number of drugs over here, and based on the drug, you can like maybe see the trends about the scores, about the people who have consumed like pretty recently, like who have never consumed that, So if you can see like a specified trend, like or check over that, that's what a main agenda behind the project, right? So we need to just find out like if there are any traits over here. So this is a quick overview. So now let me explain you like what are the insights I've found over here. So firstly, let me show you the MDS plot. So what I found out over here is like there's specifically two parts, like two specified groups of drugs over here. One's the one like which are like light drugs and there are heavy drugs. The light drugs are something which are like pretty common in parties like and all, and whereas the heavy drugs are the one which are like clearly like maybe like these are the things which have more risk to your life compared to the party or light drugs. So what I'm the main two centroids what I found over here is like one's the heroin centroid and the other one is the ecstasy. If you see the heroin, there's like the heavy drugs over here, like which are surrounding to this. The crack, heroin, meth, coke, and benzos. If you can add amphet too. So these are the set of drugs which are the pretty hard drugs, and the other one is uh, the ecstasy one over here. You can see the ecstasy, nicotine, mushrooms, cannabis, LSD. These are like the pretty light drugs. These are like the party going drugs, like which generally found in like small parties. So this is the one set of drugs which are like excluded, and this is the other set of drugs which are coming together. So what I'm trying to depict on this is like since this came together on the MDS plot, what I can say is that a user who has consumed heroin pretty recently is more vulnerable to even consume crack or coke. Similarly, if he's like ever taken ecstasy pretty recently, or like the usage of his ecstasy drug is like pretty high, and it's pretty sure that he might be like maybe even trying mushrooms or cannabis too. So this is what I want to depict from the MDS plot. Now let me give an overview of the PCB plot over here. So if you can see, there's multiple this person like background details over here, like education, gender, age, country, and ethnicity. And these are like a lot of drugs and like based on the usage. Let me give an overview on the age first. So let me just do a brushing on 65 plus people. If you see, they're like only 10 people. And if you see the drugs which are like most recently consumed by these kind of people, it's like the nicotine, chocolate, caffeine, and alcohol. If you see, ask me like why the caffeine and chocolate are added to this whole list over here, like based on the recent studies, like people who are like having like a high BP or like high sugar, they have died much earlier than the one who have ever tried these. So I think these are like much more, not much more, but at least they are like as effective as these drugs do. So coming to this, like not much people, but you can see the at least these kind of people have ever used like alcohol, caffeine, chocolate, or nicotine itself. And other heavy drugs, they like never tried it, or like maybe they've tried it pretty 10, 20 years back. So these are at the CL1 level. So let me give you more overview of the 55 to 64 ring. And if you come down a bit, you can see the other type of drugs are like the usage frequencies are like have increased a bit over here. So if you see they're like more CL2s over here. The legal highs are increased, so the 55 to 64 is still kind of like using the legal highs over here. The 65 people, I think they can't use such stuff anymore. If I think they've used, I think they might die pretty soon. So the 55 to 64, you can see there are a few CL3s in over here. If you go a bit down more, so you can see like the number of people who have used pretty recently have is increasing a bit more and more. So you can see there like 161 over here. If you go to 35 to 50, 44, like 183, and it's similar to what we are seeing 45 to 54. And if you come a bit down, this is where like you can see like there's a huge spike in the each drug, like the consuming level. Like there are around like 250 people in this age range, and you can see like there are a lot of people who have ever tried ecstasy pretty recently. There are like a lot of people who have tried legal highs like pretty recently, similar to meth, LSD, cannabis, benzos. They're like there's a pretty good range of age where they're like most vulnerable, or like who the people who was consuming drugs more recently. And to the shock, what I found over here is like if you go to the 18 to 24 range, this is like much worse than what we see in 25 to 34. I think these are people who are generally the people who are studying right now. I never thought like people who are studying like have been consuming drugs this frequently. I mean, I've been seeing uses and all, but I'm not pretty sure that they've been using this heavily about like each drug. I don't think like these are like any small drugs. You see like there's a lot of coke over here, and meth is like heavy drug. Even VS is like a kind of bad thing like to get into. And I think this is like a whole set of people who the 25, 18 to 35 range. These are the most people who are like more vulnerable to consume any drugs per se. So this is like an overview of the age. Let me give you an overview about the education too for you. If you see among the PhD people, there are like 45 people, and you see there are most of them are near CL3. So like there are pretty few drugs which come about like more than CL3. CL3 is something like if you're taken in the last year or like between last year or 2 years over there. So what happens over this? Like these people are who has a PhD degree. I think they're more into like the profession, like who was like professors or like more into research and these kind of people. I don't think they just get into the drugs and all, or else they won't never been getting a PhD in the first place. So I think this is like a certain trend which we can see. These are like more goal-driven people, and you can see like there are not many people who generally take drugs over here. I think we can say that alcohol, caffeine, chocolate, and nicotine are like pretty common among all the people. So we can like not talk about that much. If you see the other drugs, there's not much spikes over here. And the people with the MS degree, these are the people like it's kind of increasing like compared to the PhD. You can see the consumption of ecstasy or like the LSD or legal highs, they come a bit increase compared to the PhD people. If you go a bit down, this is the university people. See, like this is the university grade graduated people. So there are like lot of people ranging from the 18 to 65, 55 to, and if you can see like 65 people, they have like not done the university graduation, like maybe when they are in the childhood. But coming to this, like there are a lot of people from different age ranges who is like at least being graduated in university. So this is a lot of people like having this tried meth, legal highs, and there's a lot of things over here. So even the benzos, cannabis, like you can see like cannabis is like being pretty popular compared to alcohol too. Like there are like enough number of people who have tried cannabis, and they're like which is like almost similar to the level of alcohol over here. So if you go a bit down, so this is a stereotype, right? Like people who generally drop out of college, they're the people because they do drugs and all. This is like huge stereotype. But based on this data, I think it's not a stereotype. I think it's like pretty proven out over here. Like most of the college dropouts, like ever, like they're the people who are like been using drugs like more frequently. So these are like a lot of CL5s and 6 over here. You can see these are the people who are like finding or like taking or consuming drugs pretty like more frequently. So this is the whole brushing logic, like what I wanted to show over here. So if you can see, they're like during the brushing, this like whenever I move to the this field, like the whole other two plots also get updated. So the MDS plot over here doesn't update this on the whole data, so it shows the correlation, right? So it doesn't matter like bring out a good meaning if I changes for each brushing part. So this is like a whole brushing logic and it changes over here. So you can see. So now what I wanted to show you is like maybe I can go to the scatter plot matrix and show you the trends, which is the main agenda, right? Like I want to show you the traits or the trends of the people who like consume like a specific drug. So before I going there, like let me tell you like there are two types of people over here. Like if I giving you a scores, right? So there are two types of people who are most vulnerable to like bring like take any drugs. One's the one with the high E score and the low C score. The high E score means like the people who are like more extroverted and less goal driven based on the C score, like a less C score in the sense. So these are the people who are called as the hedonists. They're the people who think that the pleasure is the only main part of their life. They don't care about other stuff. They just think the pleasure is the only thing they all interested upon. So these are people with the high E score and low C score. And coming to the other part of the group which I was talking about, they are like the insecure people. So this is the one who has a high N score and low C score. So high N score in the sense the people who are like most stressed out, and low C score in the sense like not goal driven again. So these are the people who are like more insecure about their life. So these are the two sets of people who are like more vulnerable to like consume any drug in my like in the whole internet. Or like if you go and search on internet, I think they'll give you these two sets of people who are like the most opposite side of the whole spectrum. So let me just show you like quick overview like few drugs and how they give a trend to you. So let me go to the hard drug first. Like, I'll give you a heroin over here. So if you give a seals, check the heroin over here. Like firstly, like, I want to explain about the O score. So O score generally goes to the right. Like if you see the trend, like CL0 is like they never tried, and CL6 is the one the people who like tried pretty recently. And if you see the trend goes to the right over here. So this rightward trend is like common for every drug. People generally, what I can say from this is like any person, like any user who wanted to take up a drug, I think they're because like they wanted to try new things. So that's one of the major reasons for them. So I am not talking much about the O score. So let me go and check the other scores. If you see on the N score, even this is going to the right. So heroin is like more frequently used by the people who are like more stressed or depressed. Okay. And compared to the C score, these are also the people who consume more frequently are the less goal-driven people. So what, based on this, these are the high N score and low C score. So these are the insecure people which I was talking about before. So heroin is like more generally consumed by the people who are more insecure about their lives. Similarly, let me just show you the cocaine too. So if you see like there's not specific trend on the N score, but the C score is still going to the left. So it's almost like similar to the what we're talking about the heroin over there. Let me show crack also. So if you see, the N score is still going to the right, as what we have seen in the heroin. C score is still going to the left. If you think these are the outliers. So these two, the crack, heroin, cocaine, which I've showed, like these are part of the same group, right? These are all the people. These are all the same set of groups, and these are all the set of insecure people who are like most vulnerable, and these are the people who like generally take up these drugs because they're insecure about their life. So now let me show the other set of the people, other set of the party, like the light drugs over here. Let me go to the LSD first. So if we see over here, the N score, like it doesn't change. It may be at more like it's going to the left over here. It's not going to the right. So LSD is not the set of people like who consumed it recently, right? These are not the same set of people like as before for the hard drugs. This is like just taking it for the pleasure. That's what I wanted to say. It's like these are not depressed. Because they're not consuming the drugs before they're not like they're depressed. Okay, so this if you check over here, these people like the concentration of the E score like it's going bit to the right. So it's like people who are like more friends, like who are more extroverted. And if you see the C score over here, it's like going a bit more to the left over here. So these are the people who are like having high E score and low C score. If you remember, this is what are the people I was talking about. These are the hedonists. These are like pleasure seeking people. So LSD is like a light drug, and I also told like this is the first set of people who like just think pleasure is the only part of their life and nothing else matters. So this is like one of the light drugs generally comes under the hedonist people. Like these are the people who will generally consume LSD. So if you want to show the similar stuff, I'll show the cannabis too. So if you see the end score, it's not much changing. So people who generally recently consume cannabis, I don't think they're not that depressed or stressed out. It's just for the sake of the fun. So if you see the E score is like kind of median over here, it's like not changing much. It's fine. C score is going to the left. If you see the high concentration is over here and going to the left, a bit to the tending to the left. So we can see this is also part of your hedonist group where which we have mentioned over there. Like these are all the people who generally take it for the part of the fun. Like they're not anything depressed or like these kind of people, but these are people who are like having high E score and low C score. So you can do the similar type of research for all the other type of drugs which I have over here. So like there's a lot of information which you can gain from these whole plots, and I just given a quick overview though. So if you want anything, you can just run the code and run it off, and I'm just submitting on the Blackboard. And thanks for listening. Thanks for giving me the opportunity.